Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 28 of Podcast for Dads. I am Jay, aka HinduDad. We have Bhav here, our resident co-host, and joining us today is Nick Patel. How are you, gentlemen?
Good, bro. How are you?
All good, bro. How are you?
Very well, very well, very well. How's this week been treating you, boys? It's been very hot.
Loving life. It's a shame because I always have to look out my window when I'm doing my work.
I thought you were trying to grab a glimpse of the sunset just as you're looking out the window. Then
Slowly grasping it, bringing it here.
do you know what I mean?
I've enjoyed, man. The weather's been good. Can't complain. Makes it. You know what? It makes the days feel so much better when you wake up and the sun's shining. You're like, alright, cool. It's gonna be. I can get used to this. And then you wake up and then what was it last Friday? And it was just chucking it down with rain. I was like, what has happened here? Like, where did this even come from?
Mate, one of the things that I'm enjoying is looking out the window at 10 o'clock at night and still seeing a little bit of daylight.
Yeah. It's good though. It's good. I don't know how long this good weather's lasting for, but I can see it for the rest of the week, which is helpful. Hopefully to the weekend.
Mate. Hopefully it lasts till the end of next week, man.
Well, what's the plans? Anything going on?
Yeah, we got a couple shoots in it, Nick.
Yeah, we do indeed.
We could do. This is it. We could do with some of that good weather, man. It's not about being caught out in the rain when you're out on a shoot, man. It's 100%. Not fun.
100%.
So that being said, like this is rather quite somewhat of a different episode for us, in the sense that Nick is the first guy on the show who doesn't necessarily have a child, or should I say, he's a doggy dad.
Yeah.
So I met Nick a couple of weeks ago on a shoot, and obviously we got talking, and one of the things that crossed our conversation was the podcast. And thereafter, I got a message from Nick saying, "Do you know what? I want to be the first doggy Hindu dad on HinduDad." And I was like, I mean, it's something we've never covered off, and no one's ever approached us for it. So yeah, why not? You know. And here we are, man. So where is the man of the hour?
The man of the hour. He was playing with his toy. Rusty, come here. I hope he's not gone camera shy now. Come here. Up. Give me Huggy. Good boy. Look, say hello. Say hello. This is Rusty.
Hi, Rusty.
Rusty, what's this? He's got a tendency to do, like, he loves my Apple Watch for some reason.
It's a tech thing.
Trying to use it.
Hi, buddy. You good boy?
So, Indian families and dogs don't very well mix very often, and I think it's more the like current generations that have been a bit more inclined to have animals and pets. But what was it like for you growing up? Like, did you have dogs in the past, or?
We had a lot of, so as a kid, I was growing up, I was surrounded by dogs. So like cousins, they had like German Shepherds. In India, my kaka had like a sort of, I can't remember what breed it was. I think it was like I think it might have been a husky, and they named him. And you know what the funny thing is with Indian people, you know how they name their dogs. So we had one which was called Kingi, the German Shepherd was called Kingi, the white husky was called Rocky. You know, when the way the Indian people say it is like you don't just say how we say Rocky, they say Rocky.
You give it that emphasis, yeah.
Gives it that massive emphasis. And then obviously the typical one is like, you know, Raja, or you got Rani as well if it's a girl. So I think for me, it's I've always been surrounded by dogs, and to a point where I've even been bitten by one.
Really?
Yeah.
And you still went and got your own dog. You're brave.
Yeah,
man.
I think I lucked out because obviously the breed I have, they're known to be gold. So sorry, for introduce. Rusty's a golden retriever, but he's a gun dog working golden retriever. So he's the way that he is his personality is and his traits are. His traits are that he's born to be a working dog, so that's why he has tons of energy. So he needs a lot of walks, a lot of energy burning, a lot of mental stimulation as well. So, and like they're really good family dogs. Whereas I've been bitten by. I remember getting bitten by one of my friend's dogs. The dog itself, it was a, I think it was a rescue between like a staff and another breed. So he had gerbils, which I gave to him when I had them. And I said, like, I can't look after them anymore, so you can have them. And I was there at his house one day, and the dog was sitting there next to me. And I went to go put my hand into the cage to go feed the gerbils. Dog just went for my hand, split my finger open, had a little stitch. But I got scared. But then I was just like, oh. But then I said to the mum, I said to my friend's mum, I was like, oh, he's bit me. And then she got all upset and she was worried and she thought that I was going to put down the dog. And I said, look, he didn't mean it in an aggressive way. He was protecting the gerbils because he thought I was going to take the gerbils.
Yeah.
He didn't mean it in a bad way at all. And I just, my heart is where I love dogs. I absolutely love them.
I take it then you've always wanted a dog since childhood.
Always. There was a really funny story with my dad and my kaka. My kaka always used to tease him about getting dogs. And he said one day he had these two massive Alsatians, and this was before I was born. So my kaka thought it'd be a funny prank to get my dad to bring home, and my dad was notorious for bringing home the most randomest things. And he just gave my mum the biggest fright ever. He brought home two massive Alsatians.
Yeah.
And they were huge. They were like, my mum at the time, my mum's quite short, so she's about 4'9", 4'10". She's very, very short. But this dog was just huge, and he would jump up and put his paws on her shoulders.
On her shoulders, yeah.
No problem at all. And she was like, I brought these dogs in my house. He's like, I brought these, for us to live with us, to protect us. And she was like, no, I don't want them in my house. Get them out. And
there's always been that. Like for me, it's been that way as well. Like my parents, I think as a kid, I must have had a goldfish, but that's probably about as far as it went. You know what I mean? Like when it came to anything bigger than that, everyone was like, nope, not happening.
We did have a cat. I remember us having a cat, and then we ended up like giving that to one of my mum's friends because she was quite lonely. So we thought it'd be quite nice for her to have the cat and sort of help her with, her mental health and stuff like that. But obviously back then mental health wasn't even like such a big thing. But now obviously for her now to have the cat, and she said it helped her through really tough times. So we thought that would be ideal because I don't think my mum could handle having the cat.
Yeah.
My mum always used to make this reason as to why. She's like, I got a rash on my leg. I got a rash. The cat's giving me a rash or something. Half the time it wasn't. But it's just any reason to try and get rid of it. And just when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, I'm really sorry, Mum. Okay, yeah, we can give it away. But
what about you, Bob? Like you've never really mentioned about pets. What's it been like with like?
Nah, never. To be honest, never really. Never even considered it. Thought about it.
You've never considered it, but then,
Nah.
Like, what are you like around dogs or cats?
Nah, not for me. Like cats, definitely. Cats, you know what? Yeah, people might take this the wrong way. Yeah. So before I say it, like, it's just my opinion, so no one get really offended by it. But for me, cats, right, remind me of snakes, right? And it's just this sneaky personality that they have. They can creep up on you at any time. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I just get that little kind of vibe from them. Dogs, nah, I'm okay, to be honest, man. Like,
would you, if
I don't know if I've even had something that's really been like bad that's happened to me. Like, obviously, you've been bitten by a dog, right? I'm not even sure that's ever happened. But for me, like, I won't be able to be in the same room as a dog. Like, I'll just freak out. I'll freak out.
So if you met Nick in the park, or we all three met up in the park, you wouldn't be able to stroke his dog.
No way.
really,
yeah, 100%. If it's on a lead and it's far away, like, then yeah, that's fine. I'll stand there. But if it's off and it's just roaming around, like, I'm gone. You won't see me. You will not
It's
see.
interesting you say that because dogs sense this.
Yeah,
They know,
I know.
and they'll play on it so much.
Yeah. I've heard a million times.
They will come up to you. They want to jump, but they may jump up on you, or they may come near you and sniff you.
Yeah.
They do smell fear.
I've had many dogs in my life come up to me, and that is probably the reason why they do as well. Because they're like, nah, this guy doesn't like me. I'm just gonna go and bother him and pester him, right? I can see it. I can see it happening.
Well, all the dog wants you to do is pat it on your head.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And I just never. One day though, I do want to. And the thing is, like, after I've had a kid, I've said from day one, I don't want him to be in that kind of mind frame. I'd rather him go out there, actually pet the dogs, and be quite friendly with animals, etc. Not that he's gonna get a dog or be able to get one, whatever, but at least he can go to parks. If a dog comes up to me, he's cool. He's not gonna like freak out by anything. I remember when I was younger, man. Like I used to be like, "Rob, what in the world?" As you get older, you learn to control it a bit more. But when I was younger, I would be. Like, I remember once my auntie used to live in Holland, and we used to go there every year. And one time we went playing in the park. I was young, probably 8, 9 years old, playing football in the park. And this dog just comes over, and it was one of those inflatable footballs. Just came over and just put his teeth straight into the ball and popped the ball straight right there in front of us. I was like, wow, what is going on, right? And the owner's not doing nothing, just watching the dog do it. No problem. I was like, mate, now, are you not going to try and control your dog at this point? No, nothing. Just carried on, let the dog do it, popped the ball and walked away.
So that was your one bad experience, and you're like, no, I'm never petting a dog again.
No, like that's the thing. I can't pinpoint a time where I look back in my life and say, actually, there was something that stands out to say this is the reason why I can't be in the same vicinity as a dog for too long.
I'm lucky that it's only been those kind of experience. I got chased by a dog when I was doing a paper round. That was the most horrific time of my life.
But that's the thing. I feel I honestly can't remember it, and I don't know whether it's as you go up and people do it, like parents do it, but I don't think the meaning about it is like look, there's a dog there, or if you misbehave, dog's gonna do this and that kind of stuff. I don't even know if it could be something like that. When you track it back, you don't know what it could be. You honestly can't pinpoint those things, man.
I remember being in the park after school one day with a friend of mine called Anish. We were playing basketball, right? And there was this guy there from school, and he was there with his dog. He took this dog off the lead, but this dog was a bit of a rowdy one, right? And he's running around, and then he starts coming near us and that. So we're like walking away, and then he just starts chasing and barking, bruv, yeah? Literally, we ran from one end of the park to the other, bruv. I ran into the bush, the dog followed me, like I've literally ran. I've managed to find a fence and just jumped up to the fence, and finally like the dog's kind of like leapt back and gone off, and then I just climbed over the fence and got out that way, bro. But like that's as bad as it ever got for me.
But even like, have you been to India before?
Yeah, everywhere, bro. Everywhere.
But like that for me is like my worst nightmare, right? And those dogs ain't ones to like the ones on the streets. They ain't ones to run with, man. They all got. If you look at my nighttime, they all got red eyes and stuff. Like they got rabies or something out there, right? And they're always chasing cars. It's like their thing. They just want to chase the car as soon as it. But at night, nah. Honestly, during the day they do nothing. They sleep. They don't even bother you. But something happens to them. As soon as night falls, they're out to fight in it. That's it.
It's also like Nick was saying prior to the show, bro, like obviously they sweat through their pores, they find the floor very hot. So during the day, it's understandable, especially in India, for them to just be drained and like, almost dehydrated because of the heat, right?
Yeah, and there's loads out there that literally, and I really don't get like why they can't help them in any shape or form, to stop that from happening. Because you look at it and it's like, yes, they've got poverty for people out there, etc., which also they don't help with, but at the same time, there's all these dogs out there, and I've been to many countries around the world, and I don't see that many dogs in any other country that are just everywhere. And it's every part of India. I don't think there's any part I've ever been to, and I've never seen a stray dog there. at all. There's loads of them. And
Well, I mean, there is, and you're never going to get away from that. And depending on the city that you're in, like, you know, even when we went to Mexico, it was the same thing over there, bro. There's dogs just walking around everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
we didn't even venture out.
Yeah. Well, there was that, but I went before you did as well. We went on a separate one.
Okay.
But nah, man, like Nick, what prompted you to go out and get a dog in the first place, man? Like this time around.
I think I was good financially, so I realized, because I think when I was working before, so currently I work in credit card finance. I work for a fintech company, and before that I was a teaching assistant, and I was like learning the trade there, and which is sadly, because teaching assistants, they don't earn as much. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to get a dog, like, it's not going to be like, I won't be able to give it the amount of time that it needs, and then on top of that, like, you know, it's expensive. Like, having a dog is very expensive, and I think the bonus was that because of COVID and stuff, and we were going to be working from home, so I was going to be working remotely. I thought now's the time to get it, and I kind of put my foot down when it came to my mum, because she was like, no, you're not going to get one. I said, no, I am. I said, don't worry though, I will train it, I will feed it. He is my child. He's like my own. He's my responsibility. And I said to him, you don't have to do anything. If anything, what I want you to do is to bond with it, because my mum retired last year.
Yeah.
And now that she's at home and stuff, and she just like, it'd be nice to have someone around, like, to keep her company. And he's actually really good with my mum. Like, he is actually really good. It's really strange, because Rusty will jump up at like other people when he's excited, but he just doesn't dare do that with my mum.
Yeah.
He just knows. He just knows
that she's not the person to do that to, isn't it?
See, bad mate, it's about the mind. Yeah, she tells him straight.
That's it, just stay.
She's not afraid of him at all. She'll tell him.
Basically, the next time that you see a dog bark, you say to yourself in your head, don't run. You're not scared.
I do want to do something, and I will probably sooner or later have to do something to face my fears and go after, and just be in a position where I'm actually okay with being around all dogs, because actually it's beneficial for my kid more than anything else as he grows up. Because he's going to want to go to the park weekly. I'll be like, no, I can't take you. Sorry, mate. I'm not really going to be taking you. You'll be like, what's that all about? So,
but the thing is, like, there's a number of people that I've seen on social media and, you know, throughout my lifetime, where you see that they've got a pet, whether it's a dog, cat, or, you know, something else. But one thing that you notice with dogs is dogs very quickly become a protector to the child or the baby.
Did you not ever hear about that old folk story? I think my mum told me this when I was little. One day in this village in India, there was this family who they had a baby. I think it was a baby girl, and they had a dog, and they were in the other room, and the dog was sleeping next to the baby, and then all of a sudden they heard that the baby was screaming, and then they panicked and they ran into the room, and then they just saw, like, sorry if this is a bit graphic, but they saw blood everywhere, and then they saw blood on the baby. And they looked at the dog, and they thought that the dog had bitten the baby and just dragged her everywhere. But and then the dad took the dog out and was very close to putting the dog down. He was going to be like, no, I'm not. You've done this. You've injured our child. The mum lifted up the cot, and in there was a dead snake, which the dog killed to protect the baby.
Right.
So
I've never heard of that one, but
I remember my mum telling me the story, and I was just like, really? It's like, she's like, yeah. But I think, like, for that, it goes to show that the dogs, there are dogs here in this world who are like,
dogs are very intuitive. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more to a dog's brain and personality than we can sometimes give them credit for.
I'll tell you an interesting fact with Rusty. His nose, so his sense of smell is 10,000 times more than us.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I remember, I took him for a walk one day to his normal, like we go to this open field. He smelt his friends. They were about a mile away.
Right.
He sniffed the ground and he just knew straight away, my pals are there. I'm gone. He went off to go play with them. He literally just bolted.
Wow.
He just knew. He was like, "Yep, these are my pals. I'm gone. I know where you are." And he literally just bolted off. It was terrible for me because I was trying to work on his recall. He decided to run off, but I knew that where he was going to because I knew that they were there as well.
Yeah.
But that was a while away.
It's actually someone else that we had on the show a couple of months ago has recently bought a dog. Remember Turk that came on?
Yeah.
So he bought a dog a couple of months ago as well, didn't he? And even him, like one of the things that he says to me recently is, "Bob, I used to go to the park, and whenever I'd walk through, people would look at me like I'm a hood rat, yeah, and stay away from me."
They still probably do right now, isn't it?
Nah, but he goes, when I go in there with a dog wearing the same clothes, everyone will approach me.
Yeah,
like, having a dog makes him so approachable. Mad, isn't it?
100%.
But what's your experiences like that? You must have found some new doggy dad friends.
So many.
Friends,
oh, there's just so many. It's even more fun. Like, there was like a TikTok video going around. It was really funny. Of like this guy. He was like, it said, "Oh, don't ever take your boyfriend. Don't let your boyfriend take your puppy out for a walk." And it's just all these girls are just surrounding him. He's like, "Oh my god, this is your puppy." I literally got it with him when he was a pup. I wanted him to experience like, normal like sort of life outside, but it was difficult to do it during lockdown. So like, I couldn't let anyone really touch him or anything like that. And every time I would take him for a walk, he'd be like, everyone would come up to him. They're like, "This is your puppy. This is so cute. He's so cute. Oh, can I touch him? Can I come near him?" And everyone wanted to know him and get to know him. And he was like, "Oh, he's got a bow tie on. He's too cute."
And
I was going to ask about the bow tie, actually.
Get away from my dog. Go on, Bob.
Come here.
I was going to ask about the bow tie because I saw it when you put him on screen at the start. So what's that about?
I think like I must have like thought to myself, do you know what? He's a boy. It'd be quite nice to make him a bit sort of dapperish. And he's like that. Golden retrievers are like, because they're like the prestige kind of dogs. They're very photogenic. Like, as you can see, like you've seen some of the photos that I've sent you guys. He's very much a photogenic boy, and just the bow tie just has that finishing touch. And I think that was going to be his like sort of style I wanted to keep.
Would you go as far as getting dog clothes?
I want to order him like a Lakers jersey for sure. He's already got a little Arsenal bandana, so whenever we go to like the Emirates and we go like for like little runs and stuff, he gets approached then as well. He loves the statues, but fun enough, the funny thing is he doesn't pee on those statues though.
No.
He barked at the Tony Adams statue at the Emirates. He looked at it and he was like, because Tony Adams got his hands up like that. So he's like, started barking at him, thinking, "You're not giving me attention. Why are you not giving me attention?"
What did he do by the Henri statue?
He sat there. I'll show you the photo. It's on his Instagram. He sat there. He loved it. Absolutely loved it. He loved his day at the Emirates, just roaming around because there's so many people there who go and bring their dogs as well, and he absolutely loves it.
So what was it like for you training him up then in the first instance when you got him home? Like you said, he was a pup, right? So don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing it to changing a nappy of one of our kids, but essentially the question is the same. Like, what was it like for you when he first came home and he was getting trained to not go in the house?
Oh God, do you know what? Because Rusty's my first ever dog, so I was kind of out of my depths, and I was just like, "What am I doing? What am I doing? I've just got a dog. What have I done?" And
so, for the people that are thinking about getting a dog, like, what sort of advice could you give them, and what have you learned?
I would say, for advice for them to get as much. There's loads of free resources on YouTube. That's the one blessing I think I'd have to say, that there is a lot of resources there that can help you with training. But the thing is that so many people have different opinions on how to train their dog. You've got to find the right one that you feel comfortable with, because there's some people who feel like, you know, it's an old technique, but they say that using fear to kind of train your dog, it's not the ideal way to do it. But I think they do that. Sometimes they do that with some security dogs, but don't quote me on that. But I'm just saying that. And then there's positive reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, with the positive reinforcement, you're able to then sort of push that out and then be able to like enrich them a bit more. So I would say that I follow a group called Southend Dog Training. They're all online. They've got an app. They've got a WhatsApp group. They've got everything like to kind of like help you with, and they've got like video tutorials, everything. And they tell you like what tools to have and what to use. And it's actually been really helpful, because before, I think the first 3 months, I was ready to give up.
Mm-hmm.
First 3 months, I was like, I'm out of my head here. I'm out of my depth here. I'm not fit enough to look after this dog. It's just not going to happen for me.
And how did you get past that?
Perseverance, and like, you know, like my other half was saying to me, like, you know, keep going. You're doing a good job. Like, don't worry. Like, he's just a puppy, so he just needs consistency, and he needs to be tired out a little bit and go for walks and stuff. And he's
going for something.
You don't want to know what you're doing.
I can probably imagine.
I don't even know if you want to see what he's... So I'm so sorry. So this is the second time he's done this. All right. The first time he did this to it was in the park to a girl dog. And for some reason, he's trying to dominate my towel and hump it. And because he's never done this before, because
he showed off all his skills live on air, mate. That's all he's doing.
Oh my god. Yeah, there we go. You know, you're meant to change your bed sheets after these some kind of situations. I'm definitely changing my bed sheets. I have to flip them and everything. Oh my god. So
he's having way too much fun out there.
Basically, he's saying, next time you go out like that, don't leave me in the crate.
Yeah, I think so. Come here. Come here. Sit. Good boy. It's a lot of. He's going to go back for round 2. Watch. Round 2 is. So he's basically like with the training and stuff. It's down to like massive consistency. If you're not consistent, then it just doesn't work. And then they tend to like get sloppy, and then like they would just like forget things. So like I did a really funny thing happened the other day. I was at my girlfriend's house, and what I've been doing with his food and stuff, because when he was a puppy, he had this tendency to just scoff down his food so quickly before I even put the bowl down. So I started to teach him constantly. I'd hold him to his collar and I'd say, get him to sit, and I'd say, wait. And then I'd give him a command and say, off you go. And then he would go and eat his food. Now,
have you done the dog treat test?
Have I done the
dog treat test?
Yeah, I've done one. I put it on his nose and I've said, wait. I do ones where I put him on his paws as well. And he's very good. Like, I was doing that throughout his time. Like throughout the time that he's been with us. So like it's just consistency, and it's like muscle memory to him. He'll remember it straight away.
Yeah.
But the other day my other half, she put his food in a bowl, and then she just went off to go and have his food. He didn't touch his bowl at all. For 15 minutes, the poor boy was waiting there waiting
Because
for
she
her
didn't
to
say
take the
go for
command.
it.
And she forgot. She completely forgot.
Oh, bless him.
And she was like, "Oh my god! Oh no, I'm so sorry. Off you go!" And then he just went and ate his food.
Bolted.
So what do you give him to eat? Does he eat the same as you? Because I hear a lot of people give their dogs like whatever they're eating.
There's
they give the
a
dog the same.
varied difference of opinion here, innit? And it can split
Yeah,
an
there's
audience.
a real big sort of like, there's a big sort of like, it's like a Romeo and Juliet kind of like Montague Capulet kind of thing. Like the vets are saying, like, we want to feed you, we want your dog to eat this type of food. We don't agree with having having a raw food diet because of, the cases of salmonella and so forth. And then some people are saying that, like some dog trainers and so forth, are saying that, feeding your dog raw food gives its benefits. They fart less, they drink less. When they excrete, it's like completely different. It's like firm. There's no issues with it. But there's just for Rusty, he has like, I started him on tails, so it's dry kibble food. And the good thing was that with that kibble food is that because golden retrievers, they're very much food orientated. Mm-hmm. So imagine this, right? This will probably be your worst nightmare. Right, and this will be keeping you on high alert. If you ever go to the park and you're at a picnic, right, and you see a golden retriever, sometimes they may come up to you and want to take your food because they're very much
they're foodies. Yeah,
they love food. He used to love food. He literally would gower at anything. Like every time, whenever I'm eating, he'll give me those puppy dog eyes and look at me and say, "I want some of your human food." And I always say, "No."
I can vouch for that. Funnily enough, a friend of ours, Oliver, his dog is named Rusty also.
Oh,
yeah. Honestly, when you first messaged me, I was like, but that's not the Rusty that I know. And then I messaged Kev and I was like, is this Ilesh Kaka's dog? And he was like, no, bro, that's Nick. And I was like, okay, now it makes sense. But nah, man, like Rusty, whenever I'm there at Ollie's and if we're having a bite to eat, he'll know to come to me because I'm not his dad, and he'll give me those eyes because he'll think he doesn't know me well enough. He might give in. Do you know what I mean?
They'll do that. They'll do that all the time. And I just ended up again, from those training videos, I used to ask these guys, because the good thing was that because they had this web chat that you could just ask them, what do I do? Because my dog keeps wanting to watch me while I eat, or he keeps asking for it. So then we started to learn to put him in his crate.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, how you hear about dogs terrorizing? You see some of these TikTok videos, right? Which have the dogs have destroyed the sofa, they've destroyed wallpapers, pillows, everything. And as Rusty is being my first dog, I made the biggest mistake of not using my crate enough. Because I remember one time I left him downstairs on his own for 2 minutes. Next thing I know, my wallpaper's ripped half of it off. He's ripped the other side of the wallpaper. So then I started to realize that maybe the crate is a good idea for him. Mm-hmm. So putting him in his crate whilst I eat, so then he knows that when it's time to eat, when I'm having my meal, I'm going to go into the crate. I'm not going to disturb my owner from eating, because he knows he'll get his food anyway.
Yeah, like one thing that Ollie told me is that golden retrievers, like you said, they're foodies, isn't it? They're hungry, like and they're very cheeky as well, in the sense that they'll want a treat. Do you know what I mean? If they see you eating, they'll come to your side and just sit there and look up at you like.
Foods, even when on walks, I remember I always find this really frustrating with some people, because whenever you go to parks and stuff, you know how some people love to leave the bread and stuff for the birds. It's not good for the birds anyway. You're better off giving them seeds.
Right.
But these people seem to leave bread everywhere, and because of the yeast in the bread, as the bread goes moldy, it's actually quite toxic for them.
Right. Okay.
And it can actually really harmfully harm their stomachs.
And this is the other half of that argument that we started on in terms of what you're feeding them, right? Because some people hell bent against giving them cooked and processed meats, isn't it?
Yeah. Some people feel as if there's too many chemicals maybe in wet food and stuff like that.
And then you've got some dog owners who are just here, have whatever's on my plate.
Yeah, and some of them even say like having raw food as well, which is like even harder. The reason why he's not on raw food is that my other half, her nephew, he's got a very weak immune system.
Mhm.
So if he was on a raw food diet and he likes to lick, you saw what Rusty's like. He loves to lick everything, lick hands, faces, everything. He's just got that. It's just dangerous because if you're having raw food and then him licking everything and everyone, it's people have those people have like sort of different ideas, and some of them said maybe you shouldn't, and then some people saying that no, it's okay, it's safe, like
Mm.
as long as you clean up everything. I'm still looking at the options, but I don't want to I want to have a good thorough research about it.
So have you ever come back home and found that he's just gone nuts and like ripped up the, like you say, where he took the wallpaper off the walls and that? Has he ever done like anything else?
Thankfully, no. That's probably the worst he's done. I mean, now I'd say actually, in fact, there is something really bad he did. Which you'll probably want to check your phones in a minute. So, can I just give me 1 sec? Let me just go settle him for a second.
Yeah, sure, mate.
Come here.
After he's messed up all the bed sheets.
That's fine. I'm sure Nick wanted another job to do before he went to bed tonight.
That's it.
The question is, Barver, so from anything that we've spoken to now, is there anything that might change your mind on getting a dog?
But not yet, man. I've got to get used to them first. Once I get past that hurdle, I don't know. Like you said, it's one of those things where even at home, it's never been something we've spoken about. Like even like growing up, I was never like any pet really. Not even like, oh, let me get a goldfish, or I don't know, just extra responsibility for me that I was not really willing to go into, man. Now I've got a child, I'm like, this is a lot of responsibility. Imagine like having a pet with that as well. Like, I divide the time. But that's what I was going to ask you, Nick, right? Obviously, you've been at home for the last 12 months, 14 months working from home. If and when you do go back to the office, how's his day going to plan out while you're not around?
So it's a good question, because basically the way that because my mum's going to be at home anyway, and he goes with the dog walker, which helps.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing like this thing. So basically, dogs can get separation anxiety.
Yep.
Where they feel very uncomfortable. They bark a lot. They get very, very sort of not aggressive in that sense, but they won't stop barking until they know that their owner is there. So that's why a lot of the times now I'm starting to slowly like leave him in for an hour. I pop out, go do something, come back, and just do it. Like I think you start off like 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, 20, and so on and so on. And the more you do,
what was the first time like?
Oh, barking constantly. I literally went out. I put him in his crate. I went outside the house for literally 5 minutes. All I could hear him barking, and I just went up to my car. I just walked up the road to my car, and I could still hear him barking because he thought that he was left alone.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. Like, he was a baby. He's a pup. He's like 3 months old. But it's the only way that they're going to have to learn, because when I'm not there and he's an adult, the one thing is that they don't forget about certain things. So if they feel like as if, from a pup, that, he's always been around, and then out of nowhere he's not there anymore. He's gonna panic. He's gonna get depressed. They go through all sorts of stages. It's like it's massive anxiety for them. But I think constantly doing that and doing the training of like going out 5-10 minutes here and there does help. I think now he's a lot used to it now, because I think I went out the other day for like 2 hours. He just slept in his crate. He was fine.
And I take it you have like a camera or something where you can monitor him while you're out then.
So you know how your dads have like baby monitors and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I invested in a puppy monitor for sure. So whenever I'm out, like I remember, I don't know if I remember showed you when we was on that wedding gig. He was just there like sleeping away in his crate. And do you know what it is?
It's peace of mind, isn't it?
It is. I would rather know that he's okay and he's great, he's not doing anything wrong or anything like that. I'd rather it be that than to have to
worry,
worry.
innit? Yeah, no, of course. Especially on days like that shoot that we went to last Saturday, bro. That was like what, an 18-hour day?
Yeah.
But you can see the similarities where you're mentioning quite a few things, and you relate back to how things are with us having a kid, and because pretty much we're all pretty much at the same boat. You only got your dog just over 12 months ago, right?
Yeah.
My son is just
turned one, innit? Yeah.
Right, like 2 weeks ago. So and Jay's son is what, 8 months?
8 months in 2 days.
So it's like we're all in that kind of similar situation where our lives have changed quite dramatically in the last 12 months. And it's quite interesting to see the things that you're going through with your dog, especially when you say about the separation anxiety. It's quite funny because, we
can relate to that, innit?
But, like, I've been trying to go back into the office like once a week or a couple of times a week. And when I come back, when he looks at me, his face changes. Like,
it's like he's on crack, innit?
He's like, where did you come from? Like, where have you been? Like, where have you been this whole day? You've not even throughout the day, once or twice. Do
you know? It's really funny how you mentioned that, yeah, because obviously recently I've been on a lot more video shoots and whatnot, and one thing that I've noticed, like in the last couple of days, is that we normally put him in bed into his crib at about 8 o'clock, and recently when we've been doing that, and it's been me putting him in because I've been away for the day, the guy's just going nuts. Like literally, he's half asleep as I'm bringing him up the stairs. As soon as I put him in his crib and his head hits the pillow, he's awake. Like someone just gave him a shot of something. You know what I mean? Like banging, kicking, throwing his teddy everywhere. Like literally, it's like people are going to screw at me for making this comparison, but it's like having, when the dog sees you as you walk in the door and he's just going nuts and he's happy to see you. He's got someone there again.
Yeah, that's what Rusty does with me. Every morning, I go out and I get him. He goes mental, wagging tail everywhere, jumping up everywhere. And then he does this. So I do this routine with him. So I make him stretch. So I say the word stretch and then he'll bow down and he does his stretch. Mm-hmm. And he lets out a little howl at the same time. Every morning at 7 o'clock. My neighbors must probably hate me for that. He's just like, even when he's like, asleep and stuff, like, I remember the first night I had to put I read through everything of what to do for the first night. I mean, like, imagine it was for you guys for your first kid, like, first night for them, like you probably got up quite a few times.
Yep.
I was told that when you have your pup, if they're in their crate and they're crying, you should not attend to them, because that means that when they cry, that means that when they're in that crate, every time they cry, that means that that's all they need to do to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
The whole first night, I had classical music on in the background on the Alexa app, and I literally had to hear him cry the whole night.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult. I wanted to go in there and help him and say, look, do you want something to eat? Do you want a toilet? But he won't go. The one interesting thing is that dogs will never go to the toilet where they sleep, which is really strange.
That's lucky for you, isn't it?
I was going to say, just if kids did that as well, wouldn't it?
So lucky. So lucky.
It's interesting, man. Like, you say the first night you had music on, every night now, even now, we still have white noise in the background, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, these kind of things are so similar. And it's quite interesting.
But I would genuinely say, hand on heart, that having a dog is like having a child. I genuinely feel like it is. You care for them, you love them, you feed them, you
nurture them,
you educate them as well, and you try and get them to be like part of society as well, like to socialize. Even when you go to when you have like baby parties as well, like you get to meet with other people, other babies as well. Obviously, it's probably been a bit difficult for you guys to do that during COVID, I'm assuming.
So that is actually a question that I was going to ask you. Is like, is there anything like that for dogs, or like did you get to go to any group classes or anything?
So Medivet in Hendon, they normally used to do like puppy classes and puppy parties, where you could bring your puppy and they could all meet together, and then you could get them to socialize, because socializing is a big key thing for dogs. Because if they don't socialize, they don't know how to react around dogs. They don't know whether that dog is nice to talk to, or if it's like not talk to, but to greet, or to even just to be around, or even just play and see if you actually get along with the dog itself. So
do you find it's always the smaller dogs that starting off all the like ruckus?
Always these small dogs love to pick up a fuss. Always. Every
Little
time
man syndrome.
there's always just this one dog who's just like rah, 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 rah. Always giving it large, and he's just like, and Rusty just sits there, wags his tail, and he's like, I'm a happy dog, I'm okay, I'm all right. I don't mind.
But so I take it, is there anything you could have done differently if COVID wasn't around?
I think,
or would you have done anything differently?
If COVID wasn't around, I probably wouldn't have had Rusty.
Oh, really? Okay.
I feel that working.
It's the timing and the opportunity that you've had that's given you the allowance, right?
But did you know that the prices of dogs rocketed during COVID, and there was such a big surge of people buying dogs during COVID?
Everyone wanted companionship, right?
And everyone thought, because they're working from home, it's easy to train.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the dogs that Rusty's met, they were all COVID babies. They were all puppies that were born during COVID. Oh, sorry, they were born just when we went into lockdown. Sorry. So,
and while we've touched on that subject, obviously, you told us the procedure of what they go through prior to us starting the show, but just for everyone else's awareness, you said that he spent 8 weeks with the rest of his siblings and his mum before he got to you. So that whole process, what does that look like for somebody that's not got a dog at the moment or interested in getting a dog?
It's very much we had to obviously stick by the guidelines and stuff, and the breeder was up north, so he was up near Doncaster, so we had to take a drive up there, but we couldn't all go all at once. He'd make appointments for us, and we'd have to go up there. So I think you get to pick your puppy at when they're 5 weeks old.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to drive up, and it's quite a blessing actually, because I asked for a boy, and the mum had 13 pups, and only 3 of them were boys. The rest were girls. So I got really lucky there, and I think with the one bonus thing is that I got Rusty from a kennel club registered breeder.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like the proper breeders. They're all registered. They have all the legit information. Because there's some people who obviously sell dogs on Gumtree, on Pets for Homes and stuff like that. It's not ideal to buy a dog there, because you don't know what. Think of it this way: when you're buying a car, would you get it from a private dealership or would you get it from an actual dealership? I'd probably get it from an actual dealership, because I know what I'm getting, and I know that it's going to be checked and everything's going to be correct. Not to say some private dealers don't, but some don't and some do. So that's the same thing with
it's
breeders.
the risk that you put yourself at.
It is. And there's so many people because of. Do you know? The one thing that was really tough about COVID was that a lot of people got scammed. A lot of people got scammed for dogs. So many people, because there was such a high demand for it.
Yeah.
And people just decided to they were happy, they were willing to pass money on and just get scammed by these people who were just putting posters of puppies that they took from other people. So that was my concern. That was my big concern when I paid the deposit and started to pay the money towards him, because I wasn't really getting much response from the breeder. And then you get that little bit of doubt when you start to hear all these stories as well. But thankfully, because he's a kennel club registered breeder and they wouldn't do something like that, he was able to send me videos of when the pups were coming, and they sent me scans, and showed me the mum. It's a real big like reassurance. But with the whole COVID thing, it was very much like, make sure when you come there, mask, sanitize, everything. They had to obviously adhere to sort of the
The
procedures.
guidelines, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, so you don't actually get to take the pup away until like 8 weeks, until the pup's had its vaccinations and so forth. I guess people are probably wondering, like, on a monthly basis, what sort of costs would they incur in keeping a dog?
I don't know if you heard about this fact that, like, when you have a child, I think up to the age of 18, that child will cost you about £250,000. I remember someone was saying that interesting fact.
Barbs is going to cost him $1 million if he's got Barbish's taste.
It's going to cost me. It's going to be my own fault, right? It's like things that I want to do and things that I want to get him and put like clothes you want to put him in. Look, we had the conversation just before we came on air, right?
You know what, I'm
about
not
the
gonna lie,
shoes. Right?
I looked up how much them baby eaters were, and I was like, bruv.
Those are the things you want to get, right? I bought my kid baby ears, right? Baby sunglasses, coolest things in the world. Guy does not want to put them on. I was like, oh my God, come on, please, like, just wear them, right? Please, you gotta wear them. Put one from like a split second, take them straight off.
Yeah, but tell Nick to put it into context how much that costs.
What, the baby ears?
Yeah.
The ones I got were £38.
Oh, you didn't get too bad. I saw a pair on Amazon. They're like £100. I was like, bro, are you serious?
No, just go on the Baby Ears website. £38. I think they were one of the most expensive ones as well because they're black frames with like blue lenses.
Gotcha.
So just look like extra cool. But the average price on them was like £25 or something, £22 or something like that.
That's not too bad. There must have been an anomaly in the one that I saw on Amazon then.
There might be some diamonds in there or something, right? I don't know what you're looking at, right? But
I made out for some prime glass from an old camera or something like that.
Exactly. But it's the taste that you like we said before we came on, you want to get things for your dog that, we're talking about shoes and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%.
You're not probably going to go buy any old shoes. You're probably going to, like you said, you were looking for some Jordans or something, right? You want to put something decent on. And it's like,
yeah, I would not put myself down to say to get him a pair of Jordans, like just for the novelty. Like, it'd be really funny, like, to have him on Jordans and stuff, and like.
Yeah, but the thing is, Rusty's not going to grow out of him in 2 weeks.
No, his paws are now the same. I don't think he's going to get any bigger.
That's the benefit. That's the benefit. Yeah. If his paws stop growing now, you're okay. You could spend that money, and it's actually money well spent. Whereas for us, if we buy a pair of trainers tomorrow, they're probably not lasting past the end of the month, and then you're like, okay, what was the point in that? So.
There's been so many times in the past 2 months where JD keeps popping up on my timeline on Facebook and they're advertising all these like Nike and Jordan baby grows and all that. Yeah. And I'm like, that looks dope, bro. I want that. And then I look at the price and 38 quid and he's not even going to wear it for 2 weeks. I'm like, nah, bun that, bro.
But Kayla's got a pair of Jordans now, right? I'll take a picture and send them to you. Yeah. They're like one of the sickest pairs of Jordans I've seen. My sister got it for them, but they were trying to look for a pair for me, like matching ones, but they could not find them anywhere. Wow. I've looked everywhere. I cannot find them. Honestly, they're just one of the hardest trainers to get hold of. And I was like, it's so annoying just to kind of get matching trainers. It's just, I will get some.
Can I flip a question to you guys? Do you feel like as if, like, when you want to go out with, like, your kids and stuff, do you ever do like a day where you both match?
Yeah, all the time.
My missus does that for me.
But you wouldn't do it, Jay, would you?
It depends, man. Like, I don't mind compliment. I don't know if he wants to like match me identically. Do you know what I mean? But like complimenting one another is pretty like all right in my book. Do you know what I mean? Like if we're both wearing like a Puma tracksuit in different colors, and he's got his little Nike Air Max 90s, I've got mine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know if I want to match him identically. I don't mind complimenting him. You know what I mean?
I think my first one was when he had the Liverpool shirt on and I had mine on. Like, it was identical, absolutely identical. You can't even go wrong with those.
Are you going down that road, Bob?
No. We're getting close to the end of the show. We'll stay away. We'll stay away from the football chat this week. We'll get used to it. Euros are started, man. That's more important.
That's going to be the big one, man. That's going to be the big one. I was going to say to you guys, I was going to give you a really good story about what happened to Rusty when he was little. So obviously during obviously the whole pandemic and stuff, working from home, obviously there's only so much attention you can give your dog, right? And working from home was really tough because obviously I had to do my work and then I couldn't keep an eye on him at the same time. So I looking at doggy daycare, same how you guys have with nursery and stuff like that.
This is actually a good conversation. I'm glad you brought this one up.
Because I realised that it's actually quite expensive when you think about it. Because when you look at, I mean, Jay, you told me how much nursery costs, and I was like, my goodness. I was just like, wow. And the wonder, and do you know what the thing is? I never understood, like, you know, when you get like vouchers and stuff for nurseries and stuff. I never knew how expensive they are as well. And I just thought to myself, oh, bugger. So I started to look around and thought to myself, okay, I need to find a doggy daycare for Rusty for a few days and stuff, just to sort of see how he does, and then, like, you know, tire him out a bit as well. So I found one local to me, and he basically started to go, and he was doing really well, really well. He'd come home, he would be knackered, knockout. He'd sleep for like half the rest of the day, and he only did half a day. So he'd go from like 8 o'clock and then come home at about 1.
Yeah.
No problem at all. So he was chilling. And this one day, I think I took him I let him go for the afternoon. And he came back, and then like he was chilling, and I was like, do you know what? This is such a blessing, because normally he was just like going 100 miles per hour and around the house and
bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, just trying to burn that energy off. So he was sitting down next to me on my bed, and then all of a sudden, like, it's really funny when dogs, not in a bad way, but it's really funny the way that dogs, when they throw up, they look like they're twerking with their stomach and their hips, and like, it's really funny. It's just like, he was like doing this, and I was like, and I've never experienced him vomit. So I was like, What is he doing? I was like, oh my God, what is he doing? What's he doing? And then he threw up, and it was like it was an acorn and a rope toy and a chicken head.
Jesus.
Like a chicken toy head. I thought to myself, this doesn't seem right. Like, why would he throw this up?
So what was it doing there in the first place is the question.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
He's been at daycare all day today, so I haven't given him anything like that. I've not left him alone. So then I showed it to my other half, and I showed it to her, and I said, look, this is what he's just thrown this up. And she was like, I don't want to panic you or anything, but I think you should take him to the vet straight away. Yeah. Because this could be something quite serious. So then I took him to the vet, and then they were said, oh, look, he's a puppy. I said, this is what he's known for. He's very much like, you know, he'll chew anything, he'll eat anything practically. So then they said to him, they want to go take him for a scan. Little did they know that when they did the scan, they found not 1, not 2, but 3 toys inside of him.
Wow.
3 toys inside of him. Now, I don't know if you've seen it. If you get a look at your phones, check out this video that I sent you guys. It's just, I'd love to see your reactions, but it's just so unreal how it happened. He managed to swallow 3 whole toys. And that, you know, now think of it in this way, right? Rusty's like my child.
Yeah.
Right. I would never want him to like be in harm's way or anything like that. And I was fuming at that because the fact that this person who I trusted my dog to look after him and make sure that he's kept safe, that they didn't do that, that they had allowed him to swallow these toys whole. And now he's having to have an operation to get them removed. So they had to go in.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
I like, you can see it on my face. It's like, Jesus. Now I understand why you were like, don't watch it yet. Is that a insertion that they'd made or a cut they'd made in him to pull that out?
Yeah, so they cut him down the stomach. They had to shave his belly, and they had to cut down the middle and go into the stomach.
What in the world?
Raw.
What did you do?
I was gonna say, what was the next thing that happened?
They had to obviously just pull that out, and then like literally like he had to like it was like it wasn't even just like because the fact that it wasn't even one toy, it was 3 of them in there, and I'm like going to myself, I was like, what the hell happened? And I'm like going back to I'm retracing my steps, and I'm thinking, where was he this day? He was at the daycare. He was at doggy daycare. So I phoned her up and I said, listen, I don't want to alarm you or anything, but whilst Rusty was with you, he's managed to swallow 3 toys and he's had to have operation. I kind of rang her before and said to her, like, he's gone into the vets. I don't know what's going to happen. It's life-threatening, basically, because the way that the toys are, if they get stuck in his intestines, he's dead.
Yeah, that's it.
And my whole world just came down like a ton of bricks. And I was just like, Jesus, like I didn't know what to do, or I was like scared for him. I was worried for him. I just wanted him to be okay. And my heart was broken. Like I was so angry at the same time, and I had to be at the same time. I had to be sort of, professional in that sense. Yeah, towards her, because I did say to her, I said to the owner of the daycare, I said, I'm not going to be liable to pay this bill for this surgery. He was under your care, and I trusted you to look after him, but you haven't really done that properly. And they were saying, like, we don't know where the toys have come from and stuff. And I said, I don't have these toys. They wouldn't be in the park or anything like that when you go for a walk. They're obviously your toys. And then they said, okay, look, we take full responsibility. We'll sort out the insurance. Can you imagine how much that cost?
Well, that was going to be my next question, right?
This is it. Obviously, for our kids, we have the NHS, right? But what do you have for a dog?
We have pet insurance, and that's about it. There's no sort of NHS for a dog or anything like that. It's all done privately, and the bill came to about just under $5,500 to cut him open and take the toys out, and then there's the medication.
That bill, the sound of that bill is just making me itch.
But what does the insurance set you back?
So the insurance, the good thing is that it depends on the policies you get. So I went for life cover, and I went up to, I think I'm covered up to 15,000, and I can make as many claims as I want to, but I'm covered up to 15,000, and that is just, I think I pay about £60 a month.
Okay.
But do you know what though? If I didn't have insurance, and if that wasn't the
that wasn't the case on the day.
If it wasn't their fault, I would have to foot that $5,000 bill.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd be able to pull out $5,000 out of nowhere.
Well, this is it. In these days, who's got $5,000 just sitting there, right?
And it's the same thing like with your kids. So do you know what I mean? Like this is what I mean about like nurseries and stuff. Like you have to vet them, right? You have to properly make sure that they're going to be the ones that are going to be looking after you. Because imagine if it was something to happen to your kids.
Yeah,
they swallowed something. They should.
No, it's true that we've got a long list of questions that we asked the nurseries. We went through a few of those last time, where you have all these questions you want to ask, and you go and see like 8 to 10 different nurseries sometimes before you even make that decision. Probably won't even go to that many schools when you go and put your kid in school, kind of thing. Nursery is like the biggest step, because it's the first time you're actually letting somebody else look after your child, who's not a family member.
That's it.
And it's a daunting experience. So for that to happen, and then for you to be in that position where you're like, and for them to initially deny it, I take it he doesn't go back there anymore.
No. we still sometimes see them now and then, and it's just like it's a very much a bittersweet kind of conversation.
But do they look after more than one dog at a time then, or is it just?
Yeah, so like it's kind of done in a house. I don't want to go too much into detail about it, but like it's in a house, and like
obviously it's less restrictive on the rules for that, right?
Yeah, I think they just get to sort of have that little bit of roam. And I think the thing is that the way that the doggy daycare, they wanted to have it quite a zen kind of feel. I mean, do you know what the thing is that this being my first ever doggy daycare, and I just thought to myself, in my head, I was like, he'll burn some energy, he'll socialize, this is great for him, he'll get tired out. I didn't see those sort of warning signs of they just run around everywhere.
Yeah.
They just go absolutely buck wild crazy. And you know, how much of them are being watched.
Yeah.
And I think that's like sort of like the red flags that I didn't pick up on. But that was because I was just focused. I think I was more focused on his social interactivity and his helping him sort of get tired out of it. Because I think I was at that point where I was struggling. And I didn't know how to sort of help him. And then when you go to someone who you want help for, when you want someone to help you, and then something like that happens, it just I couldn't go to any other daycare afterwards. I didn't.
Well, especially the fact is you deem them as a professional in their field, right?
And then they made me sign consent forms, everything. I looked at everything, I read through everything, and I thought to myself. And then she said, like, you know, make sure if he's allergic to anything, or we've got insurance and so forth. But then that happened, and I was like, how are you like this established thing, and then something like that really bad happens? He could have died.
He's also probably not the first one that has come across like that.
And then even to this day, like he was just like, I think from then it just set the bar. We had to put a muzzle on him as well. So whenever we went for walks, he'd have a little muzzle. And the thing was that people got scared of him because they thought that he was an aggressive dog. And I'm like, no, the muzzle was to protect him, not you guys. He's not going to go for you guys.
But it's just an immediate reaction, though, isn't it? Because when you do see a dog in the park with a muzzle, and you think, "Oh, right, he must be a bit like active." It's an uneducated look at what's going on around you. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
But I mean, okay, so with all of that being said, then if someone is looking to, or a family are looking to buy a dog and bring a dog into their lives, if we was to ballpark, let's say in the first 3 months, what would they need to set aside to know that they've got enough funding to actually afford keeping a dog with them?
I think for ballpark, I would probably say about...
If we include the insurance, if we include some treats, the food...
Training, if people pay for training.
I think when he came...
Training's actually a very good one to add to that, because obviously at the very early stages when you want it, right?
I spent about £280 on training, and those are just 2-hour sessions. So it's a lot of money. So I would probably say you'd want to put maybe 1,500 aside, maybe even more. I'd say, okay, to be safe, 2,000.
And that's circa over a 3-month period, we're saying, yeah?
No, that would be probably your first 2 to 3 months, I would say. Because then you're covering, because what we've covered for Rusty is that we've covered his insurance, his medicine as well. So he gets his jabs and everything. So I pay that monthly as well. So any medicine that he gets, I pay it monthly and it comes out. So I don't have to pay any excess for any sort of extra.
Yeah. And it's not a lump sum.
Yeah. There's food, there's treats, there's training. You've got to get the crates as well, the beddings. What else was there? There was so many other things. You have to get collars that don't come to beds. Do you know what? Beds are not that. You get some nice beds. Don't get me wrong. Can you believe it? You can buy a bed. You can get a prestige bed for £250 for a dog.
Bro, when it comes to children and dogs, people will go bonkers on a budget.
Easily.
Absolutely bonkers.
Easily.
It's a good market for both. That's all it is, and people make the most of it because there's people like us that are out there to help them as time
Not just
goes
that,
on.
like, but even like looking at different contexts, right? Like, Nick, I don't know whether you ever tried CBD on the dog. I know in the UK they don't really promote CBD products for dogs, but elsewhere in the world, it's very like
No, they do a lot of
it's
CBD
very
now.
well known. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
they do.
you know,
can
there's
get-
a lot of products that can help reduce their stress levels, reduce their anxiety,
Yeah,
help their digestion system off of what a little drop from a tincture.
yeah. No, there is a lot of because I've got some here as well, just in case. But I haven't had to use it because Rusty doesn't really get that much anxiety anymore
Mm-hmm.
from when he was a pup. But even then, it's not good for them for their liver when they're a pup because they're still growing. But my other half, she had a Doberman, and he was quite old, so he'd very much have that a lot of anxiety and
Yeah.
lots of stomach issues and stuff. And he wouldn't be as calm as he normally would. So a few drops of she got CBD for dogs, and she used to drop them in his food and he'd be calm. So it's very much like I think like those things do help with
For
dogs
sure, man.
for sure.
So if you was to tell Mr. Indian Dad who's thinking about buying a dog for the family, if there was one tip that you could give them, what would it be?
Do your research on the right breed that you want to get, and make sure you know what you're getting yourself in for. If you're getting a small dog that requires less sort of work rate, so like you can get a Cavapoo or something like that, by all means. But if you are going to get a big dog, be prepared to work very hard with it and work very hard to kind of get to where you want it to be. 100%. You've got to know what dog you really want and how you're going to be able to control that dog.
No, that makes absolute sense, man. Bob, any questions from you?
Nah, mate. Honestly, I was just gonna ask for just to give a tip for anyone looking for a dog, but you covered that. So, no, it was quite an interesting conversation, for which we thought we would be no longer than half an hour, 40 minutes. We nearly come close to an hour and 20, boys. So another one which I said, always say it, man. Don't put the time to these things, man. It just flows.
I know, man. They go so quick.
Nick, thank you very much for joining us, man. It's been a pleasure
No worries,
to have you on.
Thank you.
It's been a good insight for us.
Definitely, man. Gives us a lot of insight to think about. Because for me, especially, like I've always thought, when I have a child, it would be nice to think that we would get a dog. But I know that Reshman's not fond of dogs and things like that. So at the moment, it's not in my, it's not written in my future. But we never know what the future holds. So, but before we do sign out, the one thing that I do want to say is, well, two things actually. First of all, Nick, thank you very much for spending this time with us and sharing some insights into your world. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that can help who either have pets and can relate or are interested in, bringing a dog home to the family and growing theirs. And secondly, one of the things that we crossed off at the beginning of the show that we didn't talk about is the video that we played prior to starting. The video that we played is a production that Cardboard as a business we provided. My business partner Kev and our editor Connor have truly smashed that one out the park. And it was for a project which was put together where over 30 West End performers collaborated and came together to record that song in aid of COVID relief efforts in India. And if you follow it down, I will post a link to the YouTube video and you can show your support in that area directly. But other than that, I just want to thank you boys for your time again. Mr. B, any last words?
No, just like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you all next week.
Nick, it's been a true pleasure.
Thank you, boys. Thank you, boys, for having me. I'm glad to be very proud to be one of the first Hindu dog dads on your podcast. I feel honored.
The first. And on that note, we shall wish you all a good night.
Cheers.